We're back with another transfer video. We're going to be ranking all the players from the 2019-20 season. It was the year that the SFA rather abruptly just ended the season because of the big bad C word. And yeah, till this day, I don't get that decision now, I think it affected more teams than others. I just don't understand why we couldn't apply it out like England and more or less every other league around the world did it. And I think it was a bit disgraceful. But with 13 players to go through, with a lot of players, let's not waste any time. And boom, let's dive into it. Kicking off, we have got Florian Kamberi, signed in 2020. He was only one of two signings in the winter window on loan from Hibs. I mean, I wouldn't say it was awful, but it wasn't average. It was bad. I mean, I think he scored a few goals in the end, but I mean, it was just. I mean, I think it's a signing that reeks of desperation. Like, I'm not saying Kamberi was awful, but at the end of the day, he wasn't good for Rangers, and I think for Hibs he did a decent enough job. But for us, no. I mean, it was a weird signing. Like, you wouldn't want to sign. I mean, it's not like you're signing this, but I mean, even then, I think just signing a player on loan from like a Hibs, Aberdeen, Hearts, is that not a bit beneath the old firm? Like, that's no disrespect to those teams, but that's just the way it is, in my opinion, personally. Like, you wouldn't see Man City signing somebody on loan for like Tottenham, would you? Well, I don't think you would. I mean, you can debate that in the comments, but that's personally what I think. Next up, we have Shea Ojo. We signed him on loan from Liverpool. I mean, I don't think he was. I'd say he was average. It would probably be bottom of average, but he scored that really good goal against who was it in the Europa League? Really, was it Porto? Was it Porto? Was that when we beat them 2-0? Morelos got the second goal. Lovely goal, by the way. I don't think he was particularly awful, and he's actually kicked on to do decent things. Next up, we've got Philip Hollander. Let me just see how much we signed Hollander for 3.35 million. Again, I think that was a pretty good fee, but it's sad the way his careers went. I mean, the last few years, or a year and a half, 18 months, whatever, have been just plagued with injuries, and it is sad in that regard, but that doesn't change my opinion on Hollander, and I'd say he's been a very good signing. Next up, this is Ryan Kent, by the way, just for anyone wondering. We signed him for, 7.2 million. Of course, we did get him on loan the previous year, but this is the year we made it permanent, and you know what? I have no complaints about this. Ryan Kent is going in great. One of the, the current Rangers greats, currently at the club, probably will be his last season, but I don't think anyone can complain. I think everyone would put him in great. Might put him in good for a few people, but great for me. Next up, with George Edmondson, came in for Oldham for a decent enough fee, like 700,000, and we get rid of him. He was nicknamed the Fridge. He came in, he did a job when he had to, but he wasn't particularly great, was he, guys? He truly wasn't. I'm going to put him above Kamberi. Next up, we have Jordan Jones. This guy should have been really good. For this, in my opinion, if this guy lived up to his potential, he could still be at Rangers, and he would still be coming off the bench and he'd be an impact player. But I don't know. For that season at Kelly that he had, where he was great, he came to us, he was shy. I remember he scored that goal against Motherwell. It was a really good goal. He gets sent off in the old firm, just a stupid, rash challenge. And ever since then, he kind of fell out with Stevie G. And Stevie G went, no, you're getting out of here, pal. And I'm going to put Jordan Jones in awful, because you know what? I rated him, and he came in and just let us all down. I'm not saying he's not the worst player on this list in terms of performance, but, not good. Next up, with Greg Stewart, he was like third, fourth choice striker. He came in, he did a job, did decent enough level, but he wasn't, could you say he was average? Nah, I'd say he's top or bad. Next up, with Stephen Davis, of course, we did get him on a 6-month loan from Southampton, then we signed him on a free permanently in the summer of 2019. So, where's Stephen Davis going? I'm going to put him. If I put him top of average, that's kind of forcing me into putting Ojo in the bad. But again, he is in the twilight years of his career. But there has been a few games. Especially I'm rating this on their entire run. I'm not just basing it off this season, but there's been a few games where he's cost us. He's been too slow in midfield, and yes, he's been put in that scenario by the manager. Yes, it was Gio at the time, but I still have to, bury him. I can't make any. It's just because the manager put him in doesn't mean it's nothing to do with his fault. Like, I mean, very sloppy sometimes, but you know what? Great in some games, awful in some games. I think top of the average suits Stephen Davis, but if it was an all-time thing for Stephen Davis, I'd probably put him a lot higher. But of course, I'm just rating it on his second spell. Like, there's not going to be many people that when I do this, like, I'm going to go through all the years basically, just keep going back. I might just do solo windows at some point, like I did at the start. But I'm not basing this on when he first came to us back in the day, the 2000s. You know what I mean, bro? But anyway, Joe Aribo. I mean, last year he was brilliant. Like, I mean, top tier. I think the seasons before that, he was still very good, Joe Aribo, but again, a wee bit quieter. I mean, I think his first season he was probably his quietest, but I'm still going to put him great. I'm going to put him behind Ryan Kent. I've no complaints with him. Next up, Jake Hasty, youngster we signed from Motherwell. He's just no good. I'll put him in front of Jordan Jones, but again, man, just... what is there to actually say about Jake Hasty? I'm sorry, but there's not an awful lot that I can sit here and say and be like, aye, him. Is he even? I can't recall one thing he's done for Rangers. Honestly, I can't, and that's not good. That's not a bad thing. No, that's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. And I think we're going to move on to the next player. Only 3 more to go, but we've got Yanis Hadji here. Of course, we made it. Well, actually, it was a loan in this window, wasn't it? It was a loan. Let me just read that correctly. It was a loan. It was a loan transfer for Genk, but we made it permanent in 2020 summer. But I didn't actually rank that because I said I was going to just include him in this window. So yeah, we're going to have to include him here. So yeah, I mean, we're just including the loan and the fee in this one. But yeah, Hadji, I'm going to put top of good. You know what? He's back for injury recently in real life, and I've got a feeling he's going to up it to great in the next coming years. But as of right now, the 5th of February 2023, Hadji's going top of good, and by no means is that a bad rate, and that's still very good. I just don't think he's quite done enough as Aribo and Ryan Kent. I think that's fair enough. That brings us next to Brandon Barker. Again, just like another Edmondson and Greg Stewart kind of guy. Know who he is? Know who he is? He's a carbon copy of Scott Wright. If Brandon Barker was a player, well, he is a player, but if you could clue him, it'd be Scott Wright. Just a guy that's nowhere near good enough to start for Rangers, but he comes off the bench the odd time. 90% of the time will look pish, 10% of the time will do something good. And that's where we're going to put Brandon Barker. We're going to put him top of bad. He's not as bad as the other 3, but again, he's not average in my opinion. Is Ojo being... No, I'm going to put Ojo top of bad. I don't think he's a quite average. And then that leaves us with one player, Andy King. Premier League winner Andy King came in. I think he played about 4 games for Rangers, if I'm not mistaken. They might all have been cup games. Barely remember him kicking a fucking ball, being honest. And, he came in with a Welshman, centre mid, done things in England, and was fucking pish. Only thing saving this guy is the fact he probably didn't miss a Europa League final penalty to cost us. But, like saying that, he wasn't very good, was he? So anyway, guys, leave your thoughts down below. I'm going to put him last. I think that's fair enough. So in order, we've got Ken, Aribo, Hadji, Hollander, Davis, Ojo, Barker, Stewart, Edmondson, Canberry, Hasty, Jordan Jones, and the big man Andy King. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Next time up will be 2018-19, unless I just do the 19 winter window. But either way, it's going to be Gerrard's first year and see what he did. It's going to be interesting going the whole way back to the start of time, brother. But until next time, peace.